Welcome to Street Smart Spirituality with your hosts, Barry and Cole, where each week we will be discussing diverse topics of spirituality, including the right use of will, A Course of Love, A Course in Miracles, The Way of Mastery, and much more. Join us on a global spiritual adventure with Cole in Australia and Barry in the U.S. Welcome, everybody, to the first mini episode of Street Smart Spirituality. I am your host, along with Cole in Australia. This is going to be a small preview of episodes to come. This is an introduction episode where we will be introducing ourselves briefly to give you an idea of our diverse backgrounds. So without any further ado, I am going to introduce Cole in Australia, and he will give you some insight on his spiritual journey. Cole?
Hey, Barry. I'm so excited about this podcast that we are planning to do. To introduce myself, my name is Cole Kniazowicki. I'm originally from Slovakia, so you will hear my accent is still very active. Even so, I've been in Australia now for 40 years. I am a guitar teacher. I play classical guitar. And I have like an 11-year-old kid, a boy called Junie, and I have a 20-year-old stepdaughter called Yana. We have a very beautiful relationship, and but my absolute passion in my life is exploring the feeling world in us, in myself, in others, and globally, and even in a cosmology, because the feeling is much faster way out there than thought or light. So because feeling is everywhere pretty much. So that's my deepest passion. I started doing this maybe 30 years ago. I heard this talk on neurolinguistic programming, NLP, and the man said, you need to see which predominant functions you have activated by, your visual, your auditory, your kinesthetic. So I was a very visual person. I had 10 on visual, 10 on auditory, but I had only 2 on kinesthetic, which is really the feeling part of ourselves. And he said, if you want to be a balanced person, which I wanted to be, a balanced person, you need to practice, more feeling, more whatever you're lacking on. And so I took his advice, and the advice was to slow down, which I think is a great advice in this oversped up society and oversped up minds. And I began to speak really slowly. If I speak like that, you lose a listener in a few moments, because the minds are so quick and you just want to load the information in. But what we are missing is this feeling wave that can communicate way bigger than our minds, because our minds are just tiny little part of our being. So I begin to explore these feeling realms, and the more I did it, the more I was discovering what is available in there. And then I came across this body of work, a series of books called Right Use of Will. And at the same time, I also came across the book called Course in Miracles, and that was like Spanish to me. I couldn't even stay present with it for a couple of minutes, and it was losing me constantly through the vocabulary, through the vernacular. It was Christian and very difficult to understand. So I had these 2 bodies of work that were almost like, so diverse. One was for the mind and helping what we call our spirit to reconnect to our mind, to our spirit. The other one was all about feeling. And so I dived into that big time, and I could not do them together, so I did one at some time, and then I went into another. One of them brought me more into light, and the other one took me into the dark. And so this has been an incredible journey that brought me in to a feeling realm that's in me, the deep subconscious and even the unconscious, because there are part of us that it takes a while until we reconnect to our whole self. Because if we don't have all of ourselves with us, we can't really truly share our full capacity. And when I started in Course in Miracles, I started hearing this voice in me, and every time I heard that voice, it just stopped me in my tracks. It stopped me from this mad search and brought me into my heart like nothing else. And it even sometimes there were even like a voice, just with few words. But every time I heard those words and that voice, I was so touched. And I felt this exquisite embrace. And that voice kept guiding me. I didn't hear it all the time, but when I heard it, it really spoke volumes. And that voice actually helped me to direct me where to go next. And so I basically gave up work and went on to this profound, deep spiritual journey of expansion of mind, but also diving into this the labyrinth of feelings. And here we are. At some point, actually, after a while, particularly doing the right use of will and working with feelings, my whole demeanor was a little bit more feminine, because I was always exploring feelings. How's this feel? And I became also a little bit sensitive to. I went to town and I brought the whole town with me home, because there were so many feelings. I could feel everybody. And what I realized that I had a collapsed masculine part of myself. So I began to go into men's groups and eventually begin to run men's groups. And they helped me to discover, first of all, what does it really mean to be a man? But it also awakened in me this, what we call the masculine presence. And this was such an awakening that I'm now running these men's groups pretty much every year. And it's been most fulfilling journey in my life. So that's roughly me. Unless you have any questions or anything to add, I would hand it over to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention you were being a little modest about the guitar player. Yeah, for anybody that's got good ears, Cole is an internationally renowned classical guitar player, and he wrote the intro and the outro. We call them bumpers, but that's his playing at the beginning of each show, and we're going to use that throughout. So, like I said, internationally known, incredible artist. He's got incredible ears, almost to the point of frustration. I've
been Barry's coach.
Yeah, he's been coaching me for the last couple of years to slow down. One of my biggest issues narrating, I mean, you can listen to some of my stuff from 8 years ago, and they were awful. Not awful in the sense of technical quality, but awful in the sense that I just was way too fast. And even today, I mean, I'm 500% better. And still Cole writes me and says, dude, slow down.
Yeah.
and I write back, Cole, shut up. But it's incredible. I mean, the audios from a week ago from audios compared to 8 years ago, day and night. So I thank him for all the frustrating guidance. But not most of you, but a lot of you know me from the YouTube channel. I've had for about 8 years. My passion has been lost wisdom. I research, I narrate, I sometimes republish the books that are on the verge of falling into oblivion. I think the first metaphysical book I read was Autobiography of a Yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda. And I remember that, and I actually, they have a course, mail order course, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like 30, 40, 50 lessons, and I went through that, went on the phone, talked to one of their monks, all that stuff, and that was the initial step. And then for my websites ever since, I would literally spend $400 or $500 a month trying to dig up and find old books from antiquarian book dealers and stuff like that. And then a couple of years ago, most of the books, I got them, and I literally cannot narrate a book unless it resonates with me on some level. And I've actually tried. I made the mistake of, I've had people ask me, say, hey, can you record this book for me? And if it was short, I said, I made the mistake of saying yes. And books that do not resonate with me, and the analogy I always use is like walking through wet cement in snowshoes against a 50-mile-an-hour wind. And it's literally painful for me to do it. So there's a resonance on some level with me on the material that I read. And a couple of years ago, a friend from Facebook said, hey, have you heard of this series of books? And she'd asked me about The Way of Mastery. And so I picked up the book, and there's a series of 3 books, plus there's a bunch of ancillary texts. I read them, and for the first time in like 10 years, it was literally like Cole was talking about. I didn't have a voice, but it was literally like somebody took their hand, stuck in the back of my head, and flipped a switch, which told me, like, literally, hey, pal, you don't need any more. You've found the source. So, that was incredible. So when I find books like that, then I just scour the internet down to the dirt to find everything that's been written. Everything's been channeled. It's channeled by Joshua ben Joseph, Jesus. Believe it or don't believe it, it doesn't really matter. And it doesn't, in a real practical sense, it doesn't really matter because it's all coming from the higher self anyway. And if it resonates, and to be totally honest, I've cried more in the last year than I've cried in the last 40 years. And
Nice.
Hey, and that's not from spousal abuse. That's from a resonation. And I've had some personal channelings done and stuff like that. So I know for me personally that the path that I am on is the path that I need to tread. And hey, it may not be the path for you. Your path may be A Course in Miracles, your path may be A Course of Love, your path may be a Right Use of Will, or any dozens of other books out there. And, it may be faster, it may be slower. A really unique quote from Paramahansa Yogananda was that all paths lead to God. It just depends on if you want to take an ox cart or a jet plane. So...
Yeah.
I've pretty much read all his stuff too, and so that was a step there. And over the last 10 years, my diversity of text and paths has been incredibly diverse. As Cole mentioned, he drills down a lot deeper, so he's got much more in-depth knowledge of some specific than I do. But I really believe that our cooperation is really going to benefit each other, and hopefully for everybody that listens, because, unfortunately, there's a lot of garbage out there, and we're not going to bring up anything specific, but there's a lot of sweet people that are incredibly naive that, maybe something Cole says, something maybe I say, will maybe just nudge you a little bit over into the track and get you on the right path again. And neither one of us puts ourselves up as gurus or teachers. We just want to share what we learned, the wisdom that we derived from our, collective paths over the last 25, 30 years. And hopefully it's going to be something that you can benefit from. And we're going to focus on probably the first 4 or 5 episodes on what Cole calls the art of true response. And it's something totally unique. I've never seen it out there before. I read the first 2 volumes of The Right Use of Will. He's been studying it for how long, Cole? 15 years?
Oh, no, about 28.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if he hasn't got it in 28 years, we're screwed. So this is going to be some incredible information. I really look forward to this journey with Cole and with all of you. I thank you for giving us a listen, as I do with as this YouTube channel grows day by day. And like I always refer to you people, thanks for being part of our family. So, Cole, I just want to personally thank you for taking this time with me. I mean, you're, like I said, you're in Australia. You're a guitar teacher. You have your own counseling practice. Neither one of us are getting reimbursed for this. This is something we want to do from our hearts. And
Totally.
And we wish that you accept it in the spirit as a given. So, anything else, Cole?
No, that was well said. Thanks for sharing your part of your journey, and there is more to be expressed as we go along. But yes, definitely my contribution is going through this deep feeling journey. I'm finding out that this is a path that's it's not often traveled, because spiritual concepts is very easy for the mind to grasp, but they need to be deeply felt. And if they're not deeply felt, they don't get embodied. And we're talking about street smart spirituality. It's down to earth, down to the gutter. I've been there. I lived it. You said you had tears. You shed tears, man. I shed tears for 30 years. I had heartbreaking connections to different aspects of light that I didn't even dream are there or available. But the truth of it is, for me, that feeling is the secret, and our secret is the feeling. And this is a subject that I'm absolutely fascinated by, and this is new for me to sit in front of the mic and talking to a large audience that you have. So this is our learning curve, and I'll probably get lost here and there, and you might not understand all my words due to my accent. And also we are doing this in such a way that we are recording. I record in my studio at home. That's why it's such a beautiful quality. And Barry's recording in his studio at home, and then we just splice it together. And then so we have this interview that sounds like we are actually in the same room, but we are 15,000 kilometers apart. And we will have these moments when we have this, we're using Zoom to actually connect with each other, but we're recording directly, and we sometimes jump in the others. We speak in the same time because of the delay. So if you want to practice forgiveness, that will be the moment.
Yeah, if that's all you got to worry about, forgiving, stepping on somebody's vocals, that's you're doing pretty good. Mm-hmm. That's first world problems.
But what I really want to offer, that we are going to go into a true forgiveness. And I think there's a lot of practicing of forgiveness that's going on in the world, which is not really going where it needs to go. There's a specific way of truly forgiving to a point where the situations in the world begin to vanish. When you actually begin to manifest the reality outside yourself without trying to change the reality, but you find where is the part of you that manifests or creates that kind of reality. So we'll be going into that profoundly. We're going to go deep into feelings. We're going to explore what has to happen for the mind to look at before it can awaken itself, just to the first stage of its awakening, how it needs to then embrace the feelings, how when the feelings come to life, how the birth of heart occurs. And then from there comes this elevation of the physical realm, that where our bodies turn more into light and vibration that you don't have to even tell anybody about. You're sitting there in an absolute stupor of, of disbelief that you could be this ignited within yourself. And so we'll be using, Course in Miracles, Right Use of Will, Course of Love, which was a profound, how would I call it? It helped me to integrate Course in Miracles and Course of Love because they seem so miles apart, and they're not. They're actually teaching the same thing at the end of the day, even so it doesn't seem that way. So we're looking at this three major work. We're also going to look at Urantia book, which is an exquisite piece of work. I'm going to share about my masculine and feminine principles, understanding true masculine and understanding true feminine. And hey, to hear from a man about feelings and a true feminine, it's a bit of a daring thing to do. But
I'm here with you, pal.
Well, I need you, brother. And so we'll be looking at that. And so we have quite a few shows to do. So let's bring this one to the end. And I'm very grateful to you, Barry. I want to freaking acknowledge you profoundly because I listen to your narrations every day. I listen to the Course in Miracles lesson every day. I'm so grateful that you are open to narrate books that I love for my own sake.
How convenient.
How convenient. And I listen to you every day. So it's really funny when you actually show up and you suddenly talk to me directly. I'm going like, oh, this guy is just way too familiar. And I feel this incredible oneness with you,
I think one of the aspects that's going to be really unique is that you're going to give our listeners down through the episodes, you're going to give them some exercises they can do. And a lot of these exercises you're going to do with me on a one-to-one basis. So, and I'm open to looking like a fool. And that's going to be interesting because a lot of people are really afraid of, feelings is a touchy subject for guys. Not so much for women, but guys are scared as hell. And I think this is really going to be a innovative. I mean, your knowledge on the subject is unparalleled, and I'm really looking forward to the journey we're going to have over the next months or years.
Awesome, Barry. So let's begin.
Right. Yeah, let's wrap it up for Barry for me in the U.S. and for Cole down in Australia. Thanks for giving us a listen, and look forward to our first episode, which will be on the art of true response. Thank you, Cole, my friend, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Barry.